Gbọmọ na-ege ntị, anyị ekene unu ọzọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi tata. Darụkwala onye kwunu si na-esere anyị n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ holiday nke onye ndu Maazị Nnamdi Kanu. Anyị si na ọ ya dịrị unu na mma, ya dịrị ụmụ Igbo na mma, ya dịrị the Old Eastern Region na mma, na onye siri udo ya bido ya bịara ya. Otu anyị kwuru otu a ka ọ ya dịrị ise ise ise. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ife anyị wetara unu n'iru akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ife nwanne anyị nwoke ka mkpọ ya otu a mbụ Ifeanyị Victor Umeh nwere ife o kwuru gbasịta maka Nnamdi Kanu oge ndị DSS jidere ya, gbasịta maka ife okwu gasị dị iche iche, mana achọ m ka o si m n'ọnụ pụta ụmụ Igbo. Ife a bụ Sinetọ Victor Umeh bụ kwuru okwu a nke eji ọhamadike ndị Igbo wee malụ. Mana gee ya bifo ka ị n'ife o kwuru ị ga-esi anyị drọpụrụ comment gị on the comment section below. All right, over to you, sir.
My name is Senator Victor Umeh, OFR. I'm the senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial District in the Senate. I quite frankly sympathize with Nnamdi Kanu. I've followed his struggle for a long time. I've spoken openly at various times demanding his release. Even before it got to this point, by 2016, I had spoken against the way the IPOB people were treated by government. I spoke against it when they were killed in Onitsha. I was on radio and I condemned it. At that time, things haven't become this rough as it turned out later. That was 2016. And on March 3rd, 2016, I was arrested by the Department of State Security Service that I was sponsoring IPOB activities. I was whisked from Oka to Abuja by road, and I came and was interrogated by the direct DG of SSS then, Lawal Daura, and I told him the truth. I said, I'm not sponsoring anybody, but I spoke against the inhuman treatment they were subjected to, including killing them. That cannot happen. And more important, I told him the truth, which he made notes on. I said, why not look at the reason for the agitation for a new state of Biafra? Why can't the government of Nigeria look and find out what they're not doing correctly that is responsible for this agitation? And then I asked me, what do you think are responsible for this? I said, simply, you're marginalizing the Southeast people. And that's why any such agitation receives massive support from the people of the zone. The Southeast people feel very discriminated against by the government over the years. Our youths are denied access to employment. What is available or what are available to the youths in other parts of Nigeria are not available to the youths from Igbo land or Southeast Nigeria. So if you put it in context, you see that it is very easy for you to solve the problem. Stop the marginalization of the people, and the agitation will die down. The neglect in our infrastructures is second to none in Nigeria. So when a people feel so badly discriminated against, what you are going to see is a harvest of dissent. People will become rebellious. They will not agree to it again. So it was a situation where people feel, and justifiably too, that they are not wanted in a country you want them to be part of. And I say, we don't want to be there again. It's a very simple solution. Those things that you are denying them, give it to them, and they will be happy. Nnamdi's case is very pathetic. In the 8th Senate, I asked a question. I said, where in the world have you seen the use of court prescription to address a problem? So if you see somebody who is not happy, you go to the court and get an order of court to make the person happy. How can a court order compel you to be happy when you are not happy? It's not possible. You must address why I am not happy for you to get a solution. So prescribing IPOB and rushing to the court to prescribe IPOB was a vain action. Since they did that, the agitation did not die. Instead, it worsened. The conflagration worsened. The confrontation, degenerated. So issues you can tackle through roundtable dialogue and change of attitude. You are using a hammer to want to whip the person into line, to knock the person to. Unless you remove those things that are agitating the minds of those who are protesting, you can't get it right. So Nnamdi, unfortunately, his matter is now subject to a judicial process. And I understand that in December, the Supreme Court will make a decision on that. All the time, I've severally called for his release. So many leaders in Igbo land have called for Nnamdi's release, but the government of Buhari said the law will take its full course. It won't interfere in the judicial process. The Federal High Court has ordered his release. The Court of Appeal has ordered his release, and appealed to the Supreme Court. So by 15 December or so, there will be a judgment. What is clear is that Nnamdi has not been convicted of any crime so far. So what the government is doing is the government is using its right of appeal to delay his release. And what I will say is that we shall all be patient with it, because you can't use a step that will create more problems to solve an existing problem. That's why we are all here. Everybody is watching. We've all shown very great interest in his plight. Some of the things we have done are not things you come and say on television, but we are supporting his legal struggle for freedom. He has lawyers that defend him. His lawyers must be paid and all that. So within the constitutional line allowed, some of us who do not agree with the treatment that has been given to, we've been encouraging his legal defense, so that he'll be able to get heard in the courts. And by God's grace, I believe that his freedom is soon in coming. And when that happens, I believe that lessons would have been learnt from all sides, both the government and on the leaders of the struggle. What we want is that thing I have spoken to you about, equal opportunities to everybody. So long as Nigeria does not give equal opportunities to everybody, it will be like the issue of cutting down the bamboo tree. Another bamboo tree will spring up. This thing has happened in Nigeria across the various zones in Nigeria. The Niger Delta militants, there was a time they held Nigeria's all facilities hostage. Government had to go and discuss with them, put in place amnesty program for Niger Delta. People like Mujahid Asari Dokobo, who was always on the creek with chains of bullets around him. There was negotiation, and the Niger Delta militants went down. Some of them were given contracts to do pipeline surveillance, running to billions of naira, and the restiveness in the Niger Delta went down. The Boko Haram insurgency from the northeast started. Today, are you hearing very much of it now? It's going down. So it is the approach government needs to use with the IPO people to call them to a round table and see, remove the plaque in their eyes and see the truth that what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So if you treat Igbo youth the way you treat the Arewa youth and the Afenifere youth and the Ijo youth, all the youths in Nigeria, if you give them that sense of belonging, you will not harvest any rebellion. But when you single some people out for marginalization, for any reason, you continue to harvest agitation from them. The worst thing you can do to somebody who is not happy is to ignore him. If you ignore somebody who is not happy, you will do everything to draw your attention. Even if you are barricaded with soldiers and a person, he can throw himself on you. Instead, let him die. Because he has genuine grievances that needs to be addressed. So let me believe that, believe and hope that this government that we have now in place will be able to have a different approach in dealing with restiveness in Nigeria. And that is what it should be. Because the December 15 is on hand, we'll continue to pray for the Supreme Court to free Nnamdi Kanu on that day. Many of our elders have fought for his release without any success. Ben Wabeze, Professor Ben Wabeze, remember, he was part of the delegation that went to see Buhari on a wheelchair to plead for Buhari to release Nnamdi Kanu. To him, Buhari did not listen to him. He has now died. That Ben Wabeze is dead, the former Secretary General of Ndigbo. So these are the things. There are things you will see, you begin to feel that you are not wanted. And that's what government must avoid. If you make somebody to feel not wanted, don't prevent the person from saying, I don't want to be part of you again. There must be a reason for somebody to be part of you, particularly in a democracy. This is a democratic system of government in Nigeria. You cannot have the loyalty of people by force. You have to earn the loyalty. And the only way you can earn the loyalty is by doing things that will promote happiness and satisfaction, that you are there for everybody.
Ndigbo onye ọma na-ege ntị, daalụkwalị nne ka isi na-esola anyị anyị na-eme na Eastern News 24. Ịnụgo n'ife Senator Victor Umeh kwuru n'elu akwụkwọ gbasịta maka ihe ọ gabigara n'aka ndị DSS, ebe o kwuru okwu gbasịta maka Maazị Nnamdi Kanu Ọmadike Ndigbo, onye ndu nke dịka ibe ya bụ ka efi nwere ike ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị ahụ kwugasị n'elu akwụkwọ ị nọrọ edrọpụra ya na Eastern News 24. ebe a ka si na wetere n'ozi ya dị oke mkpa. Gbadarụnụ ụmụnne m ụmụ Igbo, ngwanụ ka emesịanụ. Chetakwa na ihe a bụkwa Eastern News 24 ka si na wetere nnukwu ozi ya dị oke mkpa. Darụnụ ndị be anyị.